till shade is gone,
till water is gone,
into the shadow with teeth bared,
screaming defiance with the last breath,
to spit in Sightblinder's eye on the last day.
by my honor and the light.
My life will be a dagger for Sightblinder's heart.
Until the last day. To Shia Ghul itself.
This is A Dagger for Sightblinder, a podcast focused on all things Wheel of Time, with your hosts,
Sarah Lucas
and Adam Tricola. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of A Dagger for Sightblinder. May you find shade at some point in the future. Maybe not today. I don't really care, honestly.
Are you in the middle of the desert?
I mean, yeah, just find it. I don't care. How are you, Sarah?
I'm okay. How are you? You sound like you're in trouble.
With who?
I don't know. I don't know if I want to know. There's no shade here. Okay, noted.
None to be found, sir.
You're calling me sir?
You sound like a gun now. Misa?
Oh man. Yeah, so we have another few chapters to go through.
We do. And we're altering the schedule. Pray we don't alter it further.
We are altering it slightly.
Right. Slightly. By like 4 chapters today.
Yeah, so we're going to go over the next 6 instead of the next 10. So 31 to 36.
Yeah. They'll be great. They'll be really good chapters. So they're totally worth just waiting for the next 4. So if you guys read ahead like I did, we'll all share. We can all mentally laugh at what Sarah's missing out on.
What I'm about to unknowingly head into.
Mm-hmm. No, I mean, the only ones that really matter are the parent perspective chapters anyway. So I think by the time we're done with 36, we're done with that group of them, right?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. All right, so we'll talk about those, and there's like a super small show highlight update, and then we'll be good to go.
Okay, so spoilers, just all of the books through chapter 36 on book 4, and the show, season 1 of the show. Yes. Everything's fair game, and otherwise we'll keep our mouths shut.
Yeah,
kind of. Well,
you will.
Well, so will you. I mean, just because I'm the only one capable of spoilers, like that doesn't mean that you aren't, like, you're also going to participate in not spoiling it.
Right.
So there you go. There's some good bendy logic.
Super bendy logic.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So show update though, before we get into the chapters. Season 2. No, I don't have a premiere date for you. I'm sorry. But it has finally finished filming officially. It's done.
You like spoiled yourself in the middle of your spoiler.
Well, these things happen.
I just witnessed it happen, so I agree.
It's called, actually there's no name for it other than spoiling it. But it's done. So hopefully that means they can hurry up and get it edited and start releasing it. Also, it's not going to come out before Christmas. There's no way.
You're so gloomy.
Oh, I'm just realizing that it's already May.
I'm sorry, it's already May, but I mean, so you know for sure that they need 7 months of post-production.
I just don't see how they're not going to release it when Lord of the Rings is on, and it's too tight to release it now.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's what we had said anyways, right? Like that they were going to release it during Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
Okay,
Still.
so this is just perpetual gloom. This is like gloom that's carried over from our past conversations then.
Right. It like went and hibernated for a bit, and now it's kind of like popped back up and is like, remember me?
Yeah, I'm like, oh, my old friend.
Exactly. I think I don't know. I think it's good. It's done. It's done filming. We can hopefully get it going, and I would love it actually if they would just start filming season 3 now.
Yeah.
Just
it feels a little ominous that they haven't announced season 3 yet.
It does. It really does. And I just want them to start filming it so that they can just roll these seasons out a little bit more quickly. So anyway, that's it. That's the show news. They are done filming season 2.
So which do you care more about then? Just I mean, I know this is a Wheel of Time podcast, so you kind of have to just choose Wheel of Time. So there, I just gave you a spoiler for your own answer. But which one are you more interested in? Like, do you care more about? Like, do you want to see the Lord of the Rings one succeed more? Or like, if you have to choose between Lord of the Rings being a huge success, like really awesome stuff to watch, or Wheel of Time, but both of them for some reason can't be huge hits. Yeah, but one of them will be.
I thought you were going to make me choose between the books and the show.
Oh, no, I wouldn't do that. That's rude.
If only one could succeed.
Yeah.
I think I would have to pick Wheel of Time. I feel like I'm more invested in Wheel of Time than I am in Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think I told you that was your answer. So
you did spoil my answer.
Yeah.
It's like
I thought
you're psychic.
It's like I'm you.
Like, okay, so I've seen the Lord of the Rings movies several times. I've seen all the Hobbit movies. I've not read the books. I've read the Hobbit. I haven't read the Lord of the Ring books. So I feel like I'm more invested in Wheel of Time overall.
Because you've watched the show multiple times and stuff.
No, I'm just more invested in the storyline.
I'm being fascist again.
I know. Sorry. And being able to compare it. I can't compare the Lord of the Rings to anything because I only have experienced one medium of it.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, I already knew the answer, remember? So
Right. So I didn't need to explain all that to you because you knew it as well.
Right.
Got it. Okay. Do you want to talk about the book? The Wheel of Time book that we're reading, by the way, not Lord of the Rings.
We could talk about Blood Song. I'm in the middle of that too.
Let's talk about the Wheel of Time, book 4 book.
Book 4 book.
Yeah.
Copy. All right. All right. I'll yeah, of course. Let's go. I'm sorry to give you such a hard time. And at the same time, I'm just not sorry about it. I'm trying to find any sorriness.
Hey, we found the shade.
There's enough for everyone.
Yeah. Okay. So let's go into this. So chapter 31 is assurances. So where we left off last time was Perrin going back to the Two Rivers, and the warders were taking him to the Aes Sedai, or going to get the Aes Sedai.
Yeah.
So obviously they all go. The Aes Sedai are in the sick house, and it's where Varen and Alana are. And it's super tense because Perrin is all like, "Why are you guys here?" You know?
Yeah, I like he's just like stands up to him.
Yeah, and listening to this whole thing unfold unfolded exactly how I pictured it would, if that makes, like, I don't think I would have imagined Perrin going in there and be like, oh, thank God you guys are here. Like, it was exactly what I thought would happen with Perrin. I feel like Perrin is very blunt and to the point, and
Yeah.
you know, it's just like, why are you guys here and you're not even
Mhm.
doing anything? Like, why aren't you fighting off the White Cloaks? Why aren't you fighting off the Trollocs? Like, you're not
Good questions.
helping.
Well, and if you're not helping, then why are you here?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Which is, I mean, it's logical. Like, it's a logical question to ask, especially when you come back from being away for what? They've been gone for a year now, over a year.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you see, like, the farms have been burned down and your family's been killed. Like,
Well, had you just spent like this really protracted period of time with Moraine as like almost her servant, and she's just like not nice to you, and you have plenty of reasons to distrust her and her motives, and yeah, like there's, and he spent a long time with Varen for that matter,
yeah,
in book 2.
yeah, for sure. And I feel like that distrust though would bleed out, and because these are like Alana and Varen are an extension of Moraine, so that's just going to extend from there. So anyway, this whole thing was super tense and very, I thought it was done really well and shown really well. But Alana does explain to him that they're looking for girls who can channel, to take back to the White Tower.
That's what she says anyways.
That's what she says. That's what she tells him, which is interesting.
It's plausible the way they explain it, though, I think.
Yeah, and I mean, well, I know we've talked about this with Aes Sedai not being able to lie outright, but they can phrase things in a way.
Right. They can make truth dance a merry jig, I think is how they describe it sometimes.
Yeah. So, she could say they're looking for women who can channel, but that might not be the only thing.
Okay. So one thing I want to address too. So she's shown in the show as a good person, as a good guy so far. Like we don't have no idea, but I'm curious to know, has that thought occurred to you? Like, have you thought about Alana in the show and what it might mean for the books?
No, I haven't. Well, I haven't thought of it in the sense of like, well, she's shown as a good guy in the show, so that must mean she's a good guy in the books, if that's what you mean. Like, I haven't made that correlation. I think what I saw of her in the show was like, okay, she seems trustworthy. Like, she seems like a good guy, like to use that term.
Right.
And it makes me more interested in her in the books, which makes it more shocking to me, I think, when I'm like, what are you doing? That's weird. Especially because I'm still trying to piece all these weird things together. Like, not weird things, but all these things that I don't know. And you obviously know, and Lord it over me. But I'm trying to piece it all together. It's a little puzzle. And I'm like, what are you doing? It makes me a better
person than you.
Right. Sure.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I wouldn't say it has like a direct effect on how I think about the books. Yeah. Other than that, I think it makes me more analytical is probably the wrong word, but more critical of what they're doing.
Sure.
Does that make sense?
No.
All right, cool. I'm not going to explain it again.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I'm not being nice today. Pardon the unkindness.
Oh man.
I'm the one with the unkindness today.
You are. But she does say to Perrin that like they couldn't chase off, like they can't fight the White Cloaks. They can't just fight them. They can only fight them if it's like a self-defense or their warders are in danger. And she explains that one of her warders did get killed when she wasn't there, and they're just kind of having to deal with it, I guess. So
pretty much sucks. The White Cloaks just killed a warder.
Yeah, they're just doing White Cloaky things.
dirty, man.
Mm-hmm. This whole I don't want to call it like an arc, but this setting in the story is really sad and depressing. And I think this is probably one of the times where you realize just how dire things have gone. Because, I mean, it does start like the Emmons Field does start with a Trolloc attack, so, or the Two Rivers. So like you do kind of have this chaos when you first start the book, and then you carry on. But it's kind of sad to go back and see that the chaos hasn't really stopped for them.
Right. Well, so one thing I was thinking about was how like he goes to the Wine Spring Inn, you know, and they're sitting there and stuff. In the show, the Wine Spring Inn is like used to kill all the Trollocs. Like Moraine just basically rips it down with the power to use it as like projectiles to kill all those Trollocs. And like it's kind of epic in the show, but like there's no Wine Spring Inn anymore. And so they're going back to the Two Rivers, and he's sitting in an inn that in the show doesn't exist anymore, kind of.
It's true though. So that's the beauty of TV, I guess, and changing the story a little bit.
Well, yeah, it makes it like, well, if Alana was good in one, she could maybe be bad in the other, or vice versa.
Totally.
You know.
Which,
yeah, I won't say whether she's good or bad in either of them, but yeah.
Well, you don't know if she's good or bad in the show.
Oh, I know.
Okay, but they do ask about like Matt and Rand, and Tam and Abel have come back as well. And so Perrin, you know, says like Rand's in Tyr, and I noticed this right away too. He notices that like Varen perks up about this, so she obviously knows what that means. If Rand's in Tyr, she knows he's got Calendor, and you know, which makes sense.
Well, and at some point,
Varen is.
At some point, she asks him like kind of vaguely, but specifically like she uses words that they would both know, like keywords. So
it's just
she's like, the shepherd has the sword then, or something like that.
But it's nice, I think, when it's shown this way, because I think for myself, I would expect Varen to kind of, you know, react that way because of who she is. So it's nice to see it through Perrin's eyes, and that Perrin is noticing that he mentions it. I felt like it was kind of fairly casual to be like, oh yeah, Rand's in Tyr. He is obviously updating them, but he's noticing right away that Varen is the one. It's not Alana, it's Varen.
Well, or at least he notices it in Varen. He's looking for it in Varen. Like, we don't know it. Like, one thing that I always thought was interesting is like the way he writes Aes Sedai and Warders. Like, they're always so stone-faced, but really, like, the only times that you actually see their expressions, like sometimes it'll say like, yeah, so and so was unreadable, so and so, but for the most part he doesn't mention that. The only times that he mentions anything about them is when they've broken that. You know, like Lan, you know, Lan moved a finger, which for him was like another man gesticulating wildly. You know.
But it's true,
right?
Because they're like those, you know, guards outside Buckingham Palace in London.
Yeah, like one eyebrow twitched, and it's the same as someone like, you know, shouting at the top of their lungs. Like, he uses that as an element of craft, though, for his stuff, and it's fine. I'm good with it. It's always just interesting because, in a way, like if you just only read what they did, like their reactions to things, you'd almost think that they were just as wild as we are. You know, like the average person, like their reactions, they wouldn't be as smooth faced as like he writes them. I don't know. It's just something I always notice of, you know, like Varen, you know, reacts, but Alana doesn't. We don't know if she's paying attention, if she's actually just, you know,
if she's got a poker face.
Yeah.
Right.
So anyways, we've talked about like this little segment of this chapter for long enough, probably.
We have. So it does switch point of view. So we go to Dane Bornhold, who we
Wait.
what?
We meet other people in this house too, right? Don't we?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure we do. I mean, they've got a ton of people here. They're in the sick house. Are they not in the sick house still?
Yeah. Well, you didn't mention who else came.
I only remember Tam and Abel.
Yeah, you didn't mention them.
Yes, I did, because I said that Tam and Abel are the ones who asked Perrin where Rand and Matt were.
No, I don't think you said anything like that. Probably. Maybe I'm maybe I just don't remember. Yeah, I don't remember you saying that at all. But
They came in, they were carrying rabbits. They had been hunting. So,
yeah.
you know.
And this is the beginning of why this is maybe part of why I wouldn't say I'm exactly biased against the show. I actually did enjoy a lot of it. The way they show Abel in the show is just so incredibly different and awful compared to this version of Abel.
I'm excited that he is here, to be honest. Like, I feel like, I mean, we barely saw him in the show, but I remember you telling me that, and it's going to be nice to kind of have him, to experience him as a character where you can see what the difference is.
Well, he's
and what
not,
they did.
Yeah, like he's not like a major character in this book even, really, but he's important enough for parts of it that it's just a frustrating thing when, we see him like hitting on other women in front of his wife, and his wife is a drug addict because of it, and their daughters are neglected, and Matt has to take care of them. And like, I get that there has to be changes in the show, but I don't know. I think that's the thing that I have trouble like, I don't want the cool characters from the books to turn into just, bad people in the show.
Right. Just to create drama or.
Yeah. Why you gotta do Abel Cawthon dirty like that?
Right.
So anyways.
Yeah. So they're there, and that's that.
Yeah.
They're all, they're all chatting. Okay. So like I said, we go to Bornhold, which is interesting. So he's obviously with the White Cloaks, and they've got their own little like camp area set up. And he is trying to figure out how he can catch Perrin. Like, how can they utilize the fact that they have these prisoners from the Two Rivers? Like, how can they utilize that to get a hold of Perrin? And Ordeith is there. So Padan Fain, Ordeith, whatever. I don't even know. Like, should I call him Ordeith, or do I call him Padan Fain? Do I call him Mordeth?
Call him what the hell you want.
So he is there. And he notes that he had sent 2 men to watch over Ordeith, and they were killed by Trollocs, which I thought was a little bit suspicious of Ordeith, or interesting. Maybe not even suspicious, because, I just thought it was an interesting turn of events.
Dane Bornhold spells it out. He's like, well, he must think I'm a fool, because every time I send people with him, he always kills those people. Like, those 2 people always end up dead as the only 2 casualties of some supposed Trolloc raid.
Right. But I just find it interesting because, like, we've seen Trollocs attack each other. Like, they just attack whatever's nearby. So Ordeith is obviously able to, it seems, at least to me, that he's able to kind of control who they attack, or stop them from attacking him, or.
Oh, remember, he made that deal with the Myrddraal too.
Right.
So
yeah.
Like, he's partially controlling some of these Trollocs here.
Right. Yeah. Okay.
Well, not to mention, it's basically saying because they're all fresh and happy and everything. Like, they didn't get ambushed. They just killed those two guys. And Ordith owns the guys who were on the patrol with him so much that everyone's just going to swear up and down that it was Trollocs who attacked and killed them. Like, he essentially just murdered those two guys.
Right. Okay.
They weren't attacked by Trollocs. They were just murdered.
Right. Yikes.
Well, sure. As Ordith will.
Yeah. And then, we go to his point of view. So I just find it's a nice little, like Bornhold's obviously focused on catching Perrin, and, he's paying attention to Ordith and what Ordith's doing and like this disgusting filth that he's living in and everything. And then Ordith is paying attention to Bornhold and wants to, control him, I guess. And he does know. So he's also focused on like catching Rand or killing Rand. But he does know that one of the other two are nearby. So he can, I like that he can sense that. And then exactly like you said, he's got a Murdral in there with him, and he's making sure that Murdral is going to keep listening to him.
Well, it's also dropped that that Ordith, that Padden Fane was the one who's responsible for killing all of Perrin's family.
Right. Yeah, because doesn't he kind of like think over what he did about it?
Yeah, well, he was like, well, he was trying not to. It was regrettable, but then, such and such kid like laughed at his face, and another one said he was stupid, and basically he blamed them for baiting him into slaughtering them.
Yeah,
it's their fault I slaughtered them.
Sounds super lovely.
Yeah,
and I'm pretty sure it was in this point too where you kind of realize that like he is, I mean, we've seen this in the other books as well, but like it's very obvious that Mordeth is pretty much taken over, and Padden Fane is, quote unquote gone.
He's 50-50.
I feel like it's gotten like more, like it feels like it's swung further. You don't think so?
Nah, I think it's always 50-50. That's what I think, but maybe I'm wrong.
Interesting.
I could be wrong, but
or maybe it's only because like the parts of him that we do see are essentially the bad parts.
I mean, Padden Fane is a terrible dark friend, and then the other guy isn't quite a dark friend. He's just straight up evil.
Right.
Like they were resisting the dark one, but they were using evil kind of to resist the dark one, and that's what destroyed their town in the first place, or their city. So yeah, like the two of them combined is just a really, really gross and confusing mix.
Yeah, I don't love it. I just get like an eerie vibe when it's his point of view, and I don't love it.
Good.
Okay, great.
I mean, that like mission accomplished for Robert Jordan, right? Like that's what he's trying
true.
For. True. That's all. Like, hey, look, his ploy worked.
Fair enough. All right. So the next chapter 32, unless you have anything else you want to add.
No. Someone tell Ordith not to be a dick, but otherwise.
All right, cool. Chapter 32, questions to be asked. So we're still with Perrin, and basically they decided to kind of head towards Watch Hill, and he's going to go with Tam and Abel, and he's going to go with the Aiel. And he suggests to Loyal that Loyal should stay and watch over Alana. And also, like, I think they allude to basically like Loyal's looks, I guess, because he's so big, he'll stick out and make it more difficult for them to kind of like sneakily go to where they're trying to get to.
Yep.
And And then we have like this interaction happen between Will Alcine and Perrin and Fael, and it's this lovely little, like, I don't even know what you want to call it.
Fael's just like making eyes at Will
Yeah.
Alcine, like, hey, pretty boy.
Yeah, and you get this like, it was just interesting to me because she's doing that, and then you have this heated like jealousy moment from Perrin where he's just like, puts his arm or holds on to her when he's talking to Will, and clearly like you staking his claim.
Yeah. Mine.
Yeah, exactly. Mine.
Yeah.
So it's just very very interesting. I just thought it was amusing. Anyway, so they're obviously at the Alcines, and he explains to them that the White Cloaks think he is a dark friend. He doesn't know why they think Rand and Matt are dark friends, but they think he's a dark friend because he killed two of them. And he's just being, super upfront about this. And they're like, well, you should stay anyway and have some lunch. And, then this boy comes to the farm and lets them know that Lord Luke is arriving.
Oh, yeah, so yeah, they're all stuffed in there. The situation's pretty dire. Like there's kids on the roof with bows waiting to see if there's, like, I just keep thinking I have my my 8-year-old boy, and I think he would be super into just sitting on the roof waiting to look for Trollocs. But it's just like, I want no part in my boy being like looking for Trollocs. Like that's terrifying. Like the idea of a Trolloc being near enough to my my boy that he might even be able to spy them.
Even if you like dial it back, just having him in the point in the scenario where he has to be looking out for some kind of danger that's coming his way,
right? Like
that's just not a thing that you want to experience, I don't think. Right.
So it's just it's a scary thing. And this is also where he meets the girl. Like, remember in the show he's married and everything,
right? Yes.
This is where he meets the girl with the same name as now I forget the name of but yeah,
I remember hearing it when I was listening to the chapter, and I was like, that's the girl.
Mm-hmm.
And now I can't remember her name.
Yeah. And she's married now, and
Layla,
yeah, something like that.
Is that right?
I was I think it was like, I was like, oh, it's like Futurama. It's Leela, but
yeah, so and she's with Will, is that right?
No, she's with some random other person. No,
okay.
Will Alcine isn't married as far as I can tell.
Okay. Right. Okay. Yeah. So this is that chapter though where he meets her.
He meets her, and I don't know. It's kind of this funny thing of, that you have like the grandma who like pokes him,
Mm-hmm.
like she doesn't even think she thinks he might not even be real, and then you have other people who, like the relative that everyone's embarrassed of that has the strong opinions,
Mm-hmm.
Like I remember not too long ago, like a relative of mine, I'm going to be real vague just in case, but like we had kind of a family get together, and a relative of mine like started talking politics, and it's just like, mostly you just want to stay away from that sort of thing. But like his relative like it made everyone so uncomfortable, but it was so within their character to have done that,
right?
And this isn't anyone in my immediate family, to be clear, but like with the extendeds, and so that it kind of felt like there was a lady who's voicing her opinion, and maybe that's in the next chapter, I don't remember.
Mm-hmm.
But everyone's that people are looking at Perrin a little askance as well, like some people are like, well, you know what, you're just bringing, like, we don't want trouble with White Cloaks, we mostly believe you, but you should probably be on your way,
right? Which
like, eat lunch and then GTFO.
Well, okay, so I think that is mostly, I can't remember chapter 32 and 33 are essentially the same.
It's like one big chapter.
It's one big chapter.
Right.
So chapter 33 in a new weave in the pattern. Anyway, sorry. So Lord Luke does arrive, like that boy was saying, and Perrin doesn't like him. And I think this is where like they all start getting into these discussions about what should be done, because Perrin is the one that's pointing out that the Trollocs aren't attacking deserted farms. Like they're going to farms where people are. So if you're hunkering down on your farm, like they're gonna come to you.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, Lord Luke is here too, and and everyone's just like, "Oh, Lord Luke, what a hero!" And Perrin's like, "What a jackass!"
Yeah, right away. It's just like, nah, not for me.
Yeah.
And Varen, so Varen went with Perrin. I can't remember if I said that or not. So Alana's back with Loyal, and Varen is with Perrin.
Varen is with Perrin.
Varen is with Perrin. Say that 5 times fast.
I wish Loyal and Alana rhymed.
But Lord Luke recognizes Varen as an Aes Sedai when he arrives. So, there's a whole bunch of them arguing, like you were saying, about what to do, what's the best case scenario. And then eventually, like you mentioned, they decide to GTFO, and they're going to follow Perrin's advice. And
well, so this part gave me chills. I guess let's rewind just a little bit. I feel like we're like skipping over certain important things. Like, well, for instance, Fael didn't stop at making eyes with Will.
Oh yeah.
Then she's just like, "Ooh, Lord Luke, hello there." Hello, Lord Luke.
And keeps going.
Yeah, and
which like is just so frustrating to me, because she got so mad at Perrin about the barreling thing,
and he did nothing.
Right. And she's fully being like, "Oh, look at you over there. No, look at you," like in front of Perrin.
Yeah.
After manipulating her way into tagging along. I'm just so disappointed in her.
Oh, me too. It's just so stupid. I don't know. Like what does she think she's doing? Like, and then they have like this little conversation afterward. This is me fast forwarding a tiny bit, but like they're talking, and she's like about to twist his button off, and she's like, "Perrin, I'm kind of just sorry about that." She's like, admit, and then he's like, "Oh, okay, well, I forgive you. That's fine."
Right. Well, and then doesn't he say something about wanting her forgiveness for what he said to her before she could come or whatever?
Well, so then he immediately he has his extra senses, because he's a wolf brother kind of guy, and so he's like, "Oh crap!" Like she thinks this. Me saying that I forgive her was the wrong thing to say. Like she wasn't actually asking for forgiveness. She was just trying to twist things into, like, she's just trying to manipulate more
in her favor.
Yeah, like she wasn't actually apologizing, because what if she really was, and he was like, "Oh, okay, well, you're forgiven, like that's okay," she'd have been like, "Oh, okay, good, we're good."
Right.
But instead, like, he finds himself apologizing, which frankly, I mean, there were certain things he should apologize for, and that's fine. But I was just like, can you stop like dancing to her tune? It just made me so sad. Like she's just like twisting him in circles.
It's a very interesting dynamic, and I don't know how to feel about it, because when she was introduced, I felt like she was this really interesting character, especially because she was so focused on Perrin, and I feel like it's almost like she got the toy and now she wants a new one.
Kind of seems like that. But anyway, so there was that with, and he doesn't like Lord Luke anyways, because, and he's like, "Well, I think it's foolish that Lord Luke is, like, okay, sure, like have your boys look for Trollocs, but they'll just be here. And it's like the second the boys see them, it's too late anyways. Like you guys are screwed."
Right.
And so,
because where do you go?
Right. And so and this is like the first real tangible way to see like a ta'veren at work, because you have these really stubborn farmers, and they set it up pretty well. Like, I mean, and Perrin's pretty stubborn, Rand is pretty stubborn throughout the books, up to this point, and you know and they're all willing to, they all want to just stay there, they're going to hold on to their land. And then Perrin is just like, you should leave because we need to all stay, like he's convincing, but and he like points at a little kid. He's like, well, you can regrow crops. Can you regrow that? And he points at like a little kid, at Layla's kid, I think.
Oh,
There's
man.
someone. Yeah. And so they're like, all right, we'll go.
Well, and also like, doesn't Varen kind of, if I remember right, she points that out to him that like they agreed because of ta'veren. Because she also at the same time points out to Perrin to pay attention to Alana, or keep his eyes on Alana.
Yeah, she points it out.
Yeah,
yeah,
which is super interesting, considering they were together when Perrin got to the Two Rivers. It almost makes me feel like Varen was with Alana because Varen wanted to keep eyes on Alana herself.
There you go. It's a good idea.
Anyway.
I'm not, that isn't me confirming a single thing. It's a good insight though.
She just seems like that kind of person.
Well, Varen she's appeared in too many of the books in too prominent of places to really like underestimate her at this point. Like,
right, exactly.
She's typically going to be where the action is, sort of. So yeah.
Wow. So we're watching out for Alana. Yeah, and then so like you were saying, they all kind of agree to do what Perrin says, and him and Fael have this really weird thing. And then they go along to the next farm, and they're convincing them to get going, and they go along to the next one and convince them to get. They just kind of keep convincing these people to leave their farms. They're essentially sitting ducks when you think about it. So,
well, it made sense, and yet, it's still, it's fun. It's fun to see that kind of like, they're very on the nose about the ta'veren thing.
Right.
But
it's also nice to see it happening with not Rand.
Right.
Because like they've been saying repeatedly that Rand, Mat, and Perrin are ta'veren, but it's nice to actually see it.
Well, yeah, I mean, gosh, most of the people listening to us listen because of the video game you and I both play, but like there's like this interaction between like this really good character and one of like the subordinate characters, like Ray and Hero Finn, and it's like once you take Hero Finn and put him in a different squad, he's like so good, and you don't realize just how good he was because he's so diminished by Ray. And that's very similar in Wheel of Time to like Rand is just so dominant that you can't tell just how awesome Perrin is until you kind of put Perrin in his own element, and then you're like, oh, you're awesome too. This is cool. Well,
and then also like when they're all together, like you just assume that everything that's happening is because of Rand. Like that's kind of just how it unrolls, right? So it's just nice to see Perrin. I don't know. It's nice to see him on his own and see these things happening.
It is. No, I agree. That's a good point. Glad you noticed that.
I did notice that.
and I just said I'm glad. So,
okay.
Right along.
All right. So obviously, now that they've gone from farm to farm, and as they're doing this, they're getting closer and closer to the White Cloaks camp. And they, decide they're gonna try and rescue the prisoners that night, because Perrin's like, you know what, I don't know what these White Cloaks are gonna do once they realize I'm here, and they're gonna realize I'm here. Like so we might as well just go in and do this. No dilly-dallying
Right.
on his part, which is
No,
great.
no stick handling.
No stick handling. Anyway, so they go in that night, and this white cloak tries to attack Perrin, and Fael knocks him out with like a piece of firewood or something, lumber,
Yeah, so
whatever.
they're in the middle of the White Cloak camp, and so okay, this is one of the things that I'm like, I don't know if I really want to suspend disbelief here or not. Like, I guess I'll
Right.
just be okay, but like, all that guy had to do was say anything out loud at all.
Right.
It like raised the alarm. Like, instead, he just tries to choke Perrin out, who's like, even if you have the advantage, like, you shouldn't. I don't know. Like, one guy sneaking through the tents, you're just gonna choke them out randomly, I guess. Like, and not worry about other people helping him, because how it was, he just pushed Fael over, and then she knocked him out with. I don't know. Like this, I struggle to
suspend.
Like, yeah, like, is this guy's just a mute?
Right. Like, why wouldn't you just say something?
Yeah, like, even if you wanted the glory of the capture or something, like, all you have to do is yell and then jump on Parrot anyways.
Right.
So,
yeah.
So I don't know. I thought that was a little bit, in a book full of things that you can't really believe anyways, it just seemed too dumb. I don't know. I'm like, all right, Robert Jordan, I admire the hell out of you for a lot of things, but not this.
Right.
Not the way you wrote this.
It's a little bit of a gaffe.
I think so.
Yeah. Yeah, so they do knock this guy out though, and Perrin takes his white cloak to use as a disguise, which is smart thinking. And they're able to get to the prisoners and escape with them and sneak out and all this lovely fun stuff. And Perrin, sends them on one way quietly, and then him and the others move the other way, which I thought this was great. So he sends them one way quietly, they go the other way, and they're making noise to kind of like draw the white cloaks away from the prisoners that he just freed, which I thought was a smart idea. And Perrin doesn't care, he can figure it out, I guess.
He likes to figure things out.
And the next thing on the list, he tells Will, is they're gonna go hunt some Trollocs.
Yeah, and then they all laugh, and he's like, they didn't realize how serious he was, or something like that.
It was a really cool way to end that chapter.
Yeah, he's like, if they really knew that that's what he intended, they probably wouldn't follow him.
Yeah, probably not.
But with leaving no doubt in our mind what his intention is.
Yeah, he's fully like, no, we're doing this, not joking.
Yeah,
Perrin the serious. I don't think, has Perrin told a joke this entire, have any of it? Probably not. I guess it's too serious to joke.
Like it. Well,
I guess Matt kind of does. Matt's the jokester.
Well, yeah, and actually the next section, he does tell a joke. In fact, like, he jokes about something. Matt does.
Oh, Matt does.
Yeah, Perrin's
very serious.
Right. Which, there's nothing wrong with that. I like the group of friends I grew up with. Like, we always had all this banter and all this joking, and like, it was always like, just like that banter, the laughing and joking kind of thing. And it wasn't always like adversarial, like we're like hitting each other or whatever with it, but we always did have this back and forth, and like, laughter was a big part of it. And I remember my mind being kind of blown at one point. Like, I was kind of looked down on people who like didn't have a lot of laughter in their life, which is just a foolish, like, kid kind of teenager kind of perception. But I remember there was this turning point in my mind when there's like these two guys that I noticed that they were just really close friends, and neither of them were funny at all. Like, they're just not funny guys, and that's fine. but they were still really good friends. And I'm like, how can you be friends without humor? And then I
Mhm.
realized, like, just because that's my reality doesn't mean that has to be theirs. Like, you don't
Right.
have to have that humor and laughter in your life to actually have a significant happy relationship. It just, as a teenager, I hadn't processed that yet. So,
Right. Right. Because you're like, this is how it is for me. So it's how it is for everybody.
yeah, it was like this growing moment. I was like, oh, you don't have to be funny. Like, you don't have to have that. Like,
Right.
that's still a, something I appreciate and really enjoy even to this day, but that's not how it has to be. So,
Mhm. So
uh,
pairing doesn't have to be funny.
right. Well, and there is that maybe, oh yeah, I don't think you've gotten to that part yet, but there is one part that he makes everyone laugh a little bit later.
Hmm.
And he's like, he's like, they didn't realize he was being serious or something like that. It's like the closest he gets to making a joke.
Making a joke.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, so we are done with Matt and Perrin for now, or sorry, with Perrin for now. So chapter 34, He Who Comes with the Dawn. Yeah. So we're back with Rand and Matt.
Surprise.
Yeah. So they're climbing up that mountainside. They're heading back to Ruidine.
From Rooting.
Or sorry, yes, from Ruidine. But Couladin sees them.
Yeah.
This really loving, fun guy that has a winning personality.
He also likes to joke.
He loves jokes. He's a comedian extraordinaire. But
that was a little too far.
Oh, sorry. He's a comedian ordinaire.
Let's move on.
Okay. But he accuses them of murdering Muradin because he's like, there's no way that you guys would have been able to come out before him. He went in before you, kind of thing.
Yeah. You soft wetlanders couldn't have
Yeah.
survived where he didn't.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And him and two others decide they're going to attack Matt and Rand and throw some spears at them, and Rand instinctively channels for that like sort of fire that he likes to. Is this like his? I've noticed this is what he reaches for and instinctively is this.
Yeah.
It's like his, I guess, gut reaction or reflex or whatever you want to call it.
Well, yeah, like this is, I mean,
It feels like it's important to him. And I don't know if it's actually important to him or if it's just because he's still obviously learning and figuring out what he can and can't do, and trying not to go mad, of course. So it's almost like a comfort zone, maybe.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, you just have to think. I mean, people are going to go into their defensive, like something like everyone's got their go-to like signature move kind of, I guess, like, and that's his is like, let's get this sword. Like, that's what he knows, because what's he really learned? Like, it's already been established early on. He doesn't know what the hell he's doing with channeling. Like, he's not comfortable with that as his primary mode of defense, unless it's to summon his sword, which, I mean, that's the manifestation of the thing he's been taught how to do. Like, Lan has spent a lot of time on it. He's killed a blade master. He's very proficient, more than proficient with a blade. Like, he fought off Bilal in the stone and everything. And he, that's probably what I would do too, frankly. I mean, I could imagine myself in that position.
It's his default mode type of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he does this, and he's slicing the spears with his sword, and Matt's using his, what's the name for it? His
Ashendari.
Yes, his Ashendari. He's using that, which is kind of cool. And then like Bear kind of comes running in there to stop them, and asks Rand to show the signs, or for them to see the signs. So he kind of shows them this. On his one arm, there's a dragon for a clan chief, and then Bear pulls back his other sleeve to see the second one. So
she bears his other one.
Yeah, bears his other one, exactly, to see the second dragon. So we learned that Rand is a chief of chiefs. So I guess he's
Karakarn, yeah.
He's like top dog. Is there anything higher than chief of chiefs? Is that a spoiler for me to know?
No, so all of the clans. So in our last one we were talking about, I used the wrong terminology. I said septs.
Right.
So it's clans is what it really like. So there's however many clans of Aiel, and then within each clan there's septs. So like just smaller.
Okay. Yeah.
Smaller groups within that. And so, anyways, a clan chief is the one who's in charge. Like there's a limited number of them. If there's 18 clans, then there's 18 clan chiefs.
Right. You're in charge of your clan.
Right. And so he would be the chief of he'd be so those 18 are all like almost just independent city state, kind of like rulers of their own little tiny country. And so some of them, they go to war with each other, others of them have alliances, and it's just like this constant just vying for dominance or whatever they're trying to do, but they don't have one unified leader. And so he's the one who's supposed to not that you care about Lord of the Rings, as we've already established, but he's like the one chief to rule them all.
Is that a Lord of the Rings reference?
No, why would I refer to Lord of the Rings with you like that? That would just go over your head.
Okay, cool. So he is like, so then there's no one above that is my point.
Yeah, well, and I think they even say like there's never been a Karakarn,
right?
Like that hasn't existed. So yeah, like they all plan on him being they're yeah
okay. Yeah, so we learned this.
Yay.
And Rand wants to see Moraine. He asks for her because he would like her to heal him and Matt. And he learns that she's still with Avienda. They've been gone for like 7 days, something like that.
Yeah.
And he, Lan doesn't love that he didn't get to follow her. He wasn't allowed to follow her. So Matt instead goes to the wise ones and has the wise ones help to heal him instead of Moraine. And I think it's Mullane, I believe, that asks Rand about his like side injury, and he's like, no, it can't be healed. Like it's even Moraine can't heal it.
Right.
So it's still a thing.
So I think it's interesting because they're I don't remember if they're in Egwene's. I think they are in Egwene's perspective right now. And so she's the one who's like, no, they can't, like Moraine healing and all this stuff, Aes Sedai. But at no point does anyone actually ask Egwene if she can heal him, because Egwene's passing herself off as Aes Sedai, but no one's actually asking her like
if she can do it.
Yeah, and she's just, for her part, she's just kind of assuming that she doesn't have, like, she's not going to, because she doesn't know how to really, but you'd think that would be a relevant question to ask, at least.
I didn't even think of that. That's a really good point, because this whole time she's been like, yeah, I'm the Green Aja, I'm an Aes Sedai, yada yada yada.
Well, and it could be that she doesn't have much talent in it. If she's there's some Aes Sedai who, and it's established later in this book even, that some Aes Sedai just don't have that talent. Like they can heal at most a bruise or something.
Right.
And Egwene could be like that, but they didn't even ask the question. So I don't know, just kind of a weird thing.
Do you think that they didn't even bother to ask because she's shown such like a proficiency in dream walking that they just assumed that that's what she's good at?
Oh, well, I mean, you can be good at like, as
At
far as
multiple.
I know, she's fine at healing. Actually, I
Mhm.
think she like eventually she learns how to do it. She just doesn't know how to do it yet.
Right.
And my only thought that makes that can actually make this like seem a little bit more believable, that is the idea that maybe she's maybe she's seen as like their apprentice at this point because it's been 7 days,
Mhm.
and they don't like, it would be overstepping for an apprentice to be like, hey, I'll heal you, like, hey, I'll,
Okay. Mhm.
like they might be like, hey, learn your place, like you don't know enough, like you're just a lowly apprentice, like
Right.
I don't know, that's the one thought I had, but that
Mhm.
doesn't seem that super plausible. So
Mhm.
anyways, um it was just something, this is the first time I noticed that as well, actually,
Oh, okay. Like even
but
with you
so it's a
rereading.
fairly nuanced point, which I don't, it could also just be kind of a a blunder on Jordan's part, but
Mhm.
like, seems like they should have asked Dwayne to help there. So
Right.
um
Interesting.
this is the part that I was talking about where Matt was joking, actually.
What does he say?
Well, so they gave him something to drink,
Mhm.
and so and it's foul tasting, he drinks it and he's like, doesn't like it, and then he's like, they thank you, wise one, I won't ask if, because he had been whining before, and he was like, I won't ask if the added, like if you added any extra flavor to that, just for fun or something like that, and all the wise ones are all smiling at him and kind of laughing about it, like
I
I
feel
was smiling myself at that point.
I feel like Matt just has like the I feel like his personality just is such a good juxtaposition for all the seriousness that's going on.
Oh
And like
yeah.
he can be serious and he
Mhm.
can, focus and
Yeah.
do what he needs to do, but then
Yep.
he adds in all these little like
Hmm.
tension. And I feel like he's also one of the only characters that could probably get away with it.
Yeah. Well, and that's probably, like, he probably was designed as that kind
Mhm.
of.
Mhm.
But yeah, I've obviously I can't stop talking about how he's my favorite character. Uh, but he is, and I mean, that's why, though, is for those reasons, like he's just so, you know he's very likable, because he's the one who's funny, he's the one who's, but yet, and you'll see as we move on, like he's also incredibly capable at the things that he wants to be capable at,
Right.
and it's just such a good mix that when, oh gosh, I really don't want to, let's see.
You have to be careful.
Hmm. Okay, so well, I don't want to, talk about like what characters survive to certain points
Oh
or
yeah, don't
whatever.
do that.
So I won't. I'll just say that um he is used as a model character
Mhm.
for other authors in other books, in other series, like
Oh.
other authors are like, have no, like, really liked what Robert Jordan did with Matt,
Mhm.
and want, like, explicitly tried to emulate at least certain elements of Matt in
Mhm.
other book series.
Okay. Okay.
That's about as far as I can go right now, but yeah.
That's fair.
Hmm.
Yeah. So then obviously all this is happening and Rand is, he's asking Rourke about how do you plan to let all of the clans know, the chiefs, that there is a chief of chiefs. Um and he lets them know like it's all done in the dream world. Like there's no need to send messengers. They just meet up.
And the four wise ones, the
Mhm.
only dreamers in the entire, IEL, in the waste, I guess the
Mhm.
AEL nation is what I was going to say, but like, and they're like, that is an enormously difficult task, like don't just
Mhm.
casually tell us that that's She's like, well, I appreciate, my dear, that you think that we can move mountains for you overnight. But then Rand does ask, he's like, will you do this? And they're like, yeah, we'll do it.
It's not as simple as what you're making it seem to be, but we'll do it.
But we'll still do it.
Yeah. Yeah. So, Rand asks about his mother. So they give him some info. But when she came to the waste, she had to abandon a child when she came. So you learn that Rand has a half brother out there somewhere. Somewhere is so then I guess if she abandoned, obviously she abandoned that child first, so Rand's got an older half brother.
So we have met this character, this person,
the half brother.
Okay. Like I think this is something that is theoretically, at least, it's like something you could figure out at this point. Like it's not something that I had ever figured out, like that, but I think, because I've been paying attention to all the little details and stuff, and I've even actually mentioned a couple of them on the cast, but just kind of obliquely, so that I don't want to push too much. But at some point, obviously, like we'll find out, and it'll be very obvious. It'll be they'll be obvious about it. Like, he will intentionally, Robert Jordan will reveal to us who it is. So it's not a big deal. But now you can question who it might be.
Right.
It might be easy for you to figure out too. I don't know.
And also pay a lot of attention to, I guess, all of the men interactions.
Yeah. Well, I'm really excited. I'm going to, I don't know, in a few of our episodes, like pretty soon, we're gonna have to talk about, here, I'll just say this, and this is for the parent arc, but there's a piece of prophecy in book 2 that talks about something important that's happening in the parent arc right now. But that's as far as I'll tell you now. But there's all this book is actually, like, he's dropped a ton of hints about a lot of little things, and this is like the book that a lot of those little hints like kind of come together in ways that, like, the really close readers, the people who got really into the series, like, would probably find it like extremely satisfying. Right. Like, yes, I figured this out. Like,
they see these like little threads that are, being tied and whatever, or they're just carrying on.
Okay. It's fun.
I like that. And then we learn his dad was the clan chief of Tardad. And so then we also learn, because Rand, kind of says to Bear, like, why are you going to help me if I'm just going to destroy the Aiel, essentially? And she's like, well, if we don't help you, the Aiel will end. Like, we won't survive at all. And if we do help you, then a remnant of us will survive. So it's, I guess
a remnant of a remnant.
Yeah. The lesser of two evils, essentially.
Right. Like, instead of them just being resigned to their fate, like, we're going to get destroyed now. Like, right. They have something to fight for. Like, how big can a remnant of a remnant be? Like, let's see if we can get everyone in on it.
It's like those, did you ever play those like games as a kid in school where everyone would have to stand on like a mat, and then they would fold it and you'd still have to get everyone on it, and fold it and you'd still have to get everyone on it. And it's like that. Like, how small can you make the remnant and just take everyone with you?
I haven't. That does sound fun though. Yeah, I can understand the idea of it. That's cool. Sounds like a Canada thing.
Yeah. How
you're
much of a sardine can we make these children feel like?
I feel like they were preparing for if you guys were like on some like random like ice flat thing that, you know, like they're slowly melting. And so it sounds like a plausible scenario for Canada.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Yeah.
Just keep all. Oh man. Anyway, so we learned this, and then
we lost Joey, but
we lost Joey.
We don't need that guy.
We lost Joey. It's okay. There's like 3 others in the class.
Same with Sarah.
Yeah. Damn, that's so sad. Oh man.
Same with Adam, for that matter. So.
Yeah. Anyway, and then this chapter ends with Moraine coming back.
Yay, she's back.
She's back. All right.
And Avienda is also back.
Right. And isn't she in like a bad mood or something?
Well, yeah, she glares at Rand. And he's like, oh, it's just because she's been to Ruidion too. She knows that I'm going to destroy her people, so it's okay.
Right.
But Matt is like, see, Rand, I told you. Bear is the day she was born. Like, just makes me laugh.
Oh, Matt.
Bear is the day she was born.
It's such a good line.
Yeah.
Okay. So chapter 35, Sharp Lessons. So this is Egwene.
Mm-hmm.
And she is in the dream world. She goes into Teleran Riyadh, and she's going to meet up with Elaine and kind of tell her everything that's happened so far. And
that is not how you spell Elaine, by the way.
Oh yeah, that's what happens when I'm distracted. Thank you.
Elena.
That's fine. I didn't call her Elena. I called her Elaine.
Well, I was like, yeah, I thought maybe I thought you were trying to go for Elida, is what I thought.
Oh no.
Like, I don't remember that happened. Okay, so yeah, she's talking to Elaine in the dream world.
Yeah, and just kind of filling her in on everything that's happened. And it's like, you know, Rand's got this plan and he's not telling anyone what the plan is. So,
yeah,
you know, and Elaine's also filling Egwene in with the sea folk, with where they are. And they believe Rand is the Coromor. And they're, you know, telling all the other sea folk that as they pass by about, they're kind of, you know, spreading the word.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, Egwene gets pulled out of Teleran Riyadh. She's yanked out of there.
Yeah, and right before that, Elaine is like, tell Rand that I meant what I said in my letter.
This damn letter. Like this friggin' letter.
Well, both letters, yeah.
Both letters, actually. Yeah, you're right. Because she did write too. Oh man. Yeah. So Emmy's pulled her out.
Mm-hmm. And it's terrifying.
She's mad.
Well, she like pretended to pull her out, but she was still in the dream and like ate her in the dream. Like she was like a monster. She's like, and Egwene is all like just genuinely terrified, and then Amis is like, yeah, don't mess with the world of dreams, girl. Like you don't have any idea. And she's like, I had no idea I said I could lie, which they can't, but now the Aiel think they can, because Egwene just totally
lied.
Yeah,
because she said she went back on her word. Like that's why she's so mad, because she went back on her word to not enter alone.
Yeah,
and she did. So she lied big time.
She lied like a rug.
Yeah. And then so they give her this punishment of having to braid her hair, and in a similar fashion to an Aiel child, which is kind of humorous. But then they go to this like meeting basically with the other wise ones, and they've decided that they want one of them, an Aiel, to be with Rand and like kind of like teach him and help him, and they've chosen it to be Avienda, and she is mad about this idea. She's not like it.
I will not.
Yeah, but she also doesn't say why. She doesn't say what it is that
I hate him, but otherwise, yeah.
But like, why? Why? She
Do you
doesn't say
think?
why.
Do you think maybe that might be a thing we might learn at some point in the future?
Thanks.
Sorry, I for a minute, I was talking to my 8-year-old because he's always like in movies. What does that mean? Why is it doing what? I mean, so for a minute, I was just like, well, buddy. I think if we watch the movie, we might find out. So I apologize.
This is now a good time.
You don't need to braid your hair over your ears the way a little 8-year-old girl does. I'm sorry.
I was gonna say it's now a good time to tell you I do the same thing in movies.
To other people.
Yeah, like why is this happening?
Oh, that doesn't surprise me. Yeah.
All right. So the last chapter we'll go over, chapter 36, is misdirections. Still with Rand and the Aiel. They decide to break camp, and they're kind of in like two separate camps. So you've got like this one camp, and the Shido are in their own another camp, and the wise ones are going back and forth between the two camps, and it's this whole thing. Anyway, and Avienda's with Rand, and she's just like mad about how he treated Elaine and the letters, and because her 2 letters should make things clear to Rand and make it obvious how Elaine feels. And Rand is confused because they contradicted each other.
Well, he's exasperated because like not to mention, okay, so Elaine, she's just doing her own dramatic thing, and he, like he cares about her, of course he does, but he's trying to focus on Kara Karn things, like trying to save the world things, and Avienda's here like, Elaine is the girl for you.
And he's like, I don't have time for this.
Right. Yeah. And she's like, well, she means every word in those letters. And he's like, impossible. He's like, bullshit. There, I didn't swear.
Ship. Yeah, because like, well, it's one of those things where you're like, so do you love him or do you hate him?
Right.
And then do they just cancel each other out? So you're like neutral? You Switzerland?
Totally.
Yeah.
It just doesn't. Yeah. So, but it's just this distraction he doesn't need. And yet, and he's like a teenager still, basically. I don't know, remember if he's, like in his lower 20s or if he's in his like late teens, but one way or another, like when I was that age, you can have important things going on in your life, and girls are still very, very relevant and in the forefront of your brain. So it kind of makes sense, actually. Like, your love interests, you gotta make sure that they're being taken care of. That's
I mean, fair, but also annoying.
Sure. Oh yeah. Well, it's a distraction he doesn't need. Certainly, I think most people would agree. Like, probably best if he doesn't think about Elaine at all.
Absolutely.
What good is she doing him right now?
Not a whole lot. She's on a boat.
She can stay on a boat.
Yeah. Yeah, and then you learn that Matt's still kind of hurting and in pain. He's not in the most comfort right now because of the wise ones healing him. They obviously are using like
herbs and
stuff.
And,
yeah. So, and he's refused having Moraine heal him when she offered.
You know what I thought of? Like he's like going for the more plant-based approach, as opposed to he doesn't want the power to be used on him. But I don't know, I was just thinking of it in terms of these days a lot of the discussion is about, if you're gonna have a plant-based diet or not,
Oh yeah.
or whatever. And it's almost like, I don't know, instead of going with the easy solution, he's like, I'm just gonna. But I'll point out now, like, he develops, like, this isn't the first time, but he's fairly paranoid about the power.
Right.
Like,
Which
he doesn't want it to touch him if possible.
and I feel like it's pretty understandable given what happened to him with the dagger.
Sure. Well, the dagger didn't even have much of the power to deal. Like,
No, but I feel like it would be like I feel like you would make that connection still.
how so? I'm just
Like
not following you.
like I just feel like this dagger had an effect on Matt, obviously in the extreme worst case scenario. And I
Mhm.
feel like in that scenario you would be more paranoid about having the power used on you, because while the dagger didn't use the power explicitly, it used a power on you and affected
Mhm.
you. So it's almost like I would expect him to feel more vulnerable to being manipulated. Does that make sense?
Sure. That's fine. That's fair. I never made that connection myself, but
And like, not that they're the same thing, but it's still an unknown
well,
having an effect on you.
the dagger did make him paranoid for a while at the very least, and so maybe there's some residual paranoia involved.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, he's one way or another though. He is, and oh man, okay, so okay, there's an interesting element to it too, that so he's refusing healing.
Right. Okay.
All right, we'll just leave it there for now.
Okay. So he's refusing healing. Got it. Interesting element.
It is actually. well, him refusing, I'll just say this for the people who have read it before. Him
Mhm.
refusing healing is almost less relevant than he thinks it is.
Okay.
Like you can make a decision to do something,
Mhm.
but I don't know, like my 4-year-old could decide he's going to be 5 tomorrow.
No. Okay. Doesn't mean it's
But
not actually going to be.
yeah, doesn't mean
Mhm.
it's actually going to happen.
Mhm.
So
Got it.
we'll just say that. So
Noted. Okay. That's fair.
I don't know, I hate being all hinty. It's stupid, but
Yeah.
I don't want to spoil
Anyways,
too much. There's a lot of joy ahead, though.
yeah, don't spoil too much. We're getting
Discovery.
to some really good stuff. So
Hmm.
anyway, so yeah, so he's obviously refuses healing, and the wise ones are keeping a close eye on Rand and paying attention to him. And then they also notice that there's peddlers kind of approaching them. There's these wagons coming. And the leader is Adnan Kadir.
Yeah, Kadir.
And
Adnan.
yeah, and I guess I don't know, is panic the right word here? He is like concerned how close he is to Ruidine, because he's not supposed to be there.
Well, yeah, so there's something going on here. It, and it's not me telling you, it's like Rand is clearly like, he tells Matt, like, so they talk to the peddlers and stuff, and Rand is like kind of smiling in some kind of creepy way. And he's like, we're in the presence of evil now, Matt. Which is like, Matt's like, okay, you're being weird, but you're crazy already, so whatever.
Yeah,
but
you're starting to
like,
go mad.
yeah, but clearly, like, Kadir is there without any guides. Like it should be impossible for them to be where they're at without any Aiel guides.
Well, doesn't one of the, I don't know who it is, doesn't one of the Aiel, I can't remember, say that? Like they're like, how did you get this far in without being seen?
Ruark says it. Yeah. And the guy's like, well, there just wasn't any guides there, like that. You must believe me, good sir. That,
Right. And you're like, okay.
Totally believe you.
Totally.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Not a suspicious thing at all.
Yeah, but this is also where Matt gets his black hat. He buys Kadir's hat, like the whatever her name is, Kali or something. She just takes, he's like, how much? Do you have another hat just like that? I want to buy it. And the guy's, and she just grabs the guy's hat and she's like, yeah, just, give me some money and we'll be good. You can have his hat.
Yeah, take this one. So that's how he gets it. Yeah.
So in any of the pictures you see, all of the fan art, he's always wearing that black hat. It's part of his look, that and his Ashendare.
So he gets that, and then he's also though still wondering when the heck he's gonna be able to leave Rand.
I know, he still wants to leave.
He's like, okay.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, would you want to leave if Rand was like, we're in the presence of evil now?
Oh, I know. Well, he thinks Rand is going crazy, which is hard.
He totally does.
Yeah, like he says Matt's the most irreverent person ever. He's just like, oh yeah, you're as crazy as Rand now. He's, says to people, or, I must be as crazy as Rand to think that. He's still
it's like a barometer for him.
Yeah, he still likes Rand. Like he still has loyalty to him, but he doesn't want to be anywhere around Rand. Like plus he doesn't think he's going to be an important part of like the overall events, that take place. So
right. So he feels like he doesn't necessarily need to be there.
Right.
Yeah. All right. So yeah, that's it. That's done chapter 36.
Okay, so who's the most annoying? The Mac.
The Mac. Can I say Fael again?
Yeah.
She's pretty annoying. Aviend is annoying, but I'm just more like curious about her. But I feel like it's Fael.
I think so. I think this will be the last time it's Fael.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
All right. I'll let you know if you're wrong about that.
You usually do. And it's not just about that. About most things.
Anything. Yeah, I think I would say it's her. Okay. I don't think there's any other real candidate for it.
Yeah, that's fair.
Make a note. All right. Do you want me to tell you who I found to be sus?
Yes, please.
The Misk, since you can't go here since you know everything.
I do know everything. And I am very knowledgeable about this book series as well.
Oh boy. Okay, so obviously Alana is the first one that you're immediately like, this is weird.
Sure.
Well, mainly because of Varen's warning to Perrin to keep an eye on her. I wasn't too sure about Bornhold. Then I don't know if you would actually consider him sus or not, but I think Alana is the one that sticks out the most. And then obviously like this Adnan Kadir guy he's intriguing.
Sure.
It's making my spidey sense tingle.
Okay.
So
who's it gonna be? This is called most sus, not all the sus people.
Oh, okay. Most sus.
You're the one who typed it, not
I
me.
know.
I'm just holding you accountable to your own rules here, Sarah.
Fair. I think it would be if you're taking just actions from these chapters alone and not
Mhm.
trying to like speculate on anything. I think it would be Adnan over Alana. I think.
Okay. I think that's legit. Like
Could-
that makes sense.
Like Alana, I feel like you're just kind of keeping your eye on her, and Adnan, you're like, why are you here?
Mhm.
Why? It's just interesting timing.
Why are we in the presence of evil?
Mm-hmm. It's all very interesting.
Yeah.
So I think I would go with him.
Okay.
Yeah, that's
Go
my
with
pick.
him.
Final
Okay.
answer. Lock it in.
Lock it in.
All right. So next week we will do 6 chapters again.
I guess we will. I'm already done.
I
Want to
know.
just talk about them right now?
I'm not done.
I know. I'm just being inconsiderate.
I know.
Uh,
So we'll do 37 to 43. And then we'll do, well, I won't get into it, but we'll do 37 to 43 next week.
is that
That's
let's see,
6.
47, 48, 49, 50, 51, 52. Yeah, that's,
Right?
I don't know.
That's 6. 37. Oh no, I guess that's 7.
I think so.
So I should go to 42.
I want you to.
Yes, I'm counting.
I have toes available too if you need them.
Okay.
So, folks,
Yeah.
before Sarah's brain explodes here, we're doing 6 more chapters after this, and we just finished what chapter?
36. So we're gonna go 37 to 42.
Ish. Mm-hmm.
That's 6. 37 to 42.
I think you're right.
All right. Any other thoughts that don't involve my math skills?
I have lots of math skill thoughts, but none other. So I'm good to go. Let's pull the plug.
All right. Thank you so much for listening. May you always find water and shade.